And there we go. Of course, we did a little analysis a second ago there. I believe that is Shoma's team on screen here. We can go over it real quick again. It's that Kangaskhan, Heatran, Thundurus, Landorus, Cresselia, as well as Amoonguss that we were hinting at a little bit earlier. The two interesting Pokemon you got to watch out for, again, on Shoma's team are going to be the Heatran and Amoonguss, which are different from Hideyuki's team, which is Kangaskhan, Cresselia, Aegislash, Thundurus, Landorus, and Volcarona. So the different Pokemon there being Volcarona and, of course, Aegislash.
Yeah, I won't be too surprised to see both Aegislash and Amoonguss in this battle. Both of them are pretty good against some Pokemon on the opposing team. Amoonguss especially a Pokemon that you bring to help deal with Pokemon like Kangaskhan, so if you can't bring it in this matchup, certainly I could wonder what it's there for.
Exactly, Scott. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what they chose to do with their similar Pokemon, right? Like the movesets can vary and items as well.
And one thing I think is interesting that both of them agreed on was that they actually have Protect in both of their Thundurus. Typically not a decision we see made, but both these guys, and one of the Cresselia too actually have a Protect. They really like being able to play defensively.
They are locked in. The crowd is going wild as they are anticipating an epic match here between two incredible players. Now, as we see Shoma toss out his first two Pokemon, it's going to be a Landorus Heatran lead there for Shoma on the top, and Hideyuki bringing the Aegislash and the Kangaskhan, and the Intimidates are going to go ahead and get fired off here. Going to reduce the attack of Kangaskhan and Aegislash by one stage each.
So we see two of the Pokemon that are unique to each trainer, both the Steel-type Pokemon, Aegislash and Heatran. Heatran pretty good in that matchup as a Fire-type Pokemon, but Aegislash also has the advantage of being out here, at least not being affected by the Intimidate from Landorus, and pending how much Shoma knows about the Aegislash, has to be a little bit concerned about the potential of Wide Guard messing with both Heat Wave and Earthquake here. Unfortunately, I don't believe that the Aegislash has Wide Guard, but maybe he knows that, maybe he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they matched up a little bit earlier in the tournament, or maybe they took a little bit of time to scout out the teams. You never know what can happen here, but you know both of these players did as much as they could to potentially prepare. We see Hideyuki actually switching out the Aegislash now and bringing in his own Landorus. Going to go ahead and get an Intimidate onto the Landorus there of Shoma, as well as the Heatran, which will be reducing their attack by one stage. And right after this Kangaskhan goes Mega, I do believe that we will start to see some moves from both of our competitors. And there it is, a big superpower into that Kangaskhan, but the Intimidate really protecting it, as well as the potential training here. That Kangaskhan really eating that up. We see the stat drops there, and Kangaskhan hitting right back with a power-up punch, getting its attack boosted a little bit here, but depending on where the Heatran has decided to attack or what it is going to do, this could be a bad time for Kangaskhan. Let's see what we get from Shoma there. It's a connect on the Heat Wave. He's excited about it. How much damage will it do? No, Kangaskhan hanging on with 17 hit points, and Landorus still in there with 83, about 50%.
Yeah, I mean, Landorus still in there, and Kangaskhan as well, but that's a lot of damage to take on the first turn. Even getting that power-up punch, you know, Kangaskhan is at one level of raised attack, but that's at a huge cost. And this Kangaskhan has been trained to be extremely powerful defensively, still nearly gets knocked out in a single turn. The one advantage is that the Landorus on the other side now, 2 levels of reduced attack, 1 level of reduced defense. It's not going to be able to do a whole lot. Very tempting to switch here, though, with Kangaskhan being so weak. I can still choose to use an attack and knock it out, but it's going to be very important now for Hideyuki to try to do something to get some better board position. I can't just lose these Pokemon for free and not get something out of it, or he's going to fall too far behind to take this first game.
And both players waiting until the final moments here to lock in their moves. We did see that Landorus definitely outspeed there in that previous turn, so that could be enough to get rid of him. And I think we saw a Rock Slide miss there as it connects on one of these Pokemon, and Kangaskhan dodges it. That is absolutely huge. Oh, and there we go. The berry does come out there for the Heatran. It looks like it is going to be a Shuka Berry. Should reduce the damage of this, and I do not think the Landorus... Wow! What just happened? Are you kidding me? Sacrificing the Kangaskhan there to pick up the feint on the Heatran, and that was absolutely incredible amounts of damage onto the Heatran with a Shuka Berry. Are you kidding me? But it doesn't affect the opposing Landorus.
Yeah, that damage to the Power Punch actually made a big deal. You know, the Shuka Berry not able to allow Heatran to survive the Earthquake. And we do end up with the Pokemon, or both players having 3 Pokemon remaining in spite of how bad the beginning of that game looked. I also have to feel a little bit bad for the poor Kangaskhan there. You know, it dodges that Rock Slide. It looks like it's going to get to survive the turn. And then its own Landorus knocks it out.
Yeah, how unfortunate. Maybe just not anticipating making it through that turn anyway. So what's the risk in that? And unfortunately, you see how that can play out sometimes.
Yeah, it's still a good play, though. I mean,
yes,
definitely worth it. Get rid of that Heatran, make a clean trade there, and at least end up in a pretty good position. You know, the Landorus on one side is very low in health, but since the other one is the reduced levels of attack and defense, it's actually pretty even positioning right now.
Both players taking a minute to choose this next Pokemon, bringing the Aegislash, I think, back in here, but now Shoma revealing the Thundurus.
Yeah, Thundurus, really cool Pokemon. I like the way both these players have chosen to use their Thundurus. The one on this side has got safety goggles, which will help with the Amoonguss, which unfortunately is only on his team.
Yes.
So no item essentially on the Thundurus for this matchup. Thunderbolt, Swagger, Thunderwave, and Protect the moveset. Notable here because it doesn't have a way to damage this Landorus. It's actually very good positioning now for Hideyuki, even though he'd been losing at the beginning of the game. Landorus weakened enough that Earthquake's not going to do very much to this Aegislash. Thundurus can't attack Landorus at all. Might be time for everyone's favorite move, Swagger.
That could come into play here as we see the switch out for Shoma, bringing in a new Pokemon into the spot of the Landorus, and it's going to be Kangaskhan, Shoma's mega Pokemon. Thunderwave now, maybe just trying to stop the Aegislash from even attacking at this point. And we're going to get a move here now from Hideyuki. It's going to be a Rock Slide. Should do quite a bit of damage. Super effective, of course, against the flying typing there of the Thundurus. And Kangaskhan not taking too much, really showing its defensive training there. Oh, and the paralysis, it pays off exactly what Shoma wanted.
Yeah, I mean, Thunderwave kind of a nice thing to get on there rather than the Swagger. You're less likely to stop the attack, but, you know, the paralysis will stick for the rest of the battle, and, like, you know, Confusion, which you can switch out of. Even though he had the lower chance there, only a 25% chance to be fully paralyzed instead of 50 from Confusion, he gets it. Now he can Swagger this turn if he wants to and prevents all that damage. So Thunderous able to survive the turn probably because of that. And, again, momentum might be shifting, this time back to Shoma.
Definitely shifting right back to Shoma on that. A huge play. Sometimes the risk-reward moves do pay off, and that one did right there as Shoma probably deciding to go Mega here and maybe threatening with a potential fake out. And if Hideyuki decides to attack, could get hurt pretty hard if he's got that. If he's got a move to hit into that slot with Kangaskhan. Now we see the switch into Volcarona here as Kangaskhan does go Mega. You never want to see a Sucker Punch from Kangaskhan if you're Aegislash. It's not going to be a good time. But the Volcarona does come in here, and a Thunder Wave, very, very nice from Shoma on the top screen there. Great call, and a huge anticipation because Thunder Wave would do absolutely nothing. Oh, and another paralysis there. And of course, like I said, Thunderwave would have done absolutely nothing to Landorus.
And Kangaskhan also doing nothing there, Sucker Punching into the air, but pretty interesting turn. You know, Volcarona switching in there, anticipating that there'd probably be a Sucker Punch into the Landorus slot to prevent it from attacking, but cleverly, Thunderwave's the same slot, so even though Sucker Punch doesn't do anything, that final Pokemon now paralyzed, and Volcarona won't be doing any Quiver Dancing without, at least if it does any Quiver Dancing, it's not be going too quickly while it's paralyzed, so a great way to slow down this Volcarona, and also again to see one of the Pokemon that's different between the two teams.
Yeah, Shoma definitely setting himself up for victory in match number 1 of the grand finals here, but Hideyuki definitely no slouch and has probably played out a way worse situations than this. And we see Aegislash finally getting through the paralysis there, manages to go shield form and will be protecting itself, hopefully from any attacks, but maybe not a Swagger, depending on what we see from Shoma here, who has decided to actually Swagger the Volcarona, now kind of locked into paralysis and a potential confusion here. So will it hit through is the question as we get another move from the Pokemon here. Let's see what it can be. Oh my gosh, it does hit through with, I think, a flamethrower. Not quite enough to finish off the Thundurus.
And that Flamethrower, it seemed like for sure it knocked out the Thundurus, and that would have been a big deal. You know, part of why Hideyuki chose to withdraw his Landorus earlier was to save that Intimidate that Landorus brings. The final two Pokemon, if Thundurus was knocked out, would have been Kangaskhan and Landorus. Both of whom are physical attackers, so getting that Intimidate on them would have been big. Now still has the option to switch if Landorus comes in, at least for a little while longer, but Thundurus certainly not going to be able to attack or take any more attacks from anything at this point.
Yep, and then definitely Kangaskhan not being able to really do much here. Maybe Shoma needing to go on the offensive with it. Nice Swagger there, or into that Aegislash slot there. Going to go ahead and confuse it. Will it manage to hit through? We haven't seen much at all, and there it is, a return from Kangaskhan into that Volcarona slot, taking quite a bit of damage there. Yes, from that burn there, I think the Flame Body activating. And here we go. Will it be able to hit through confusion is the question. No, it hits itself. Huge. Shoma very excited. Volcarona hanging in there with 5 hit points. Aegislash now going into blade form. Shoma needs something to happen here. Will it be confused? Will it be paralyzed? What is going to happen? It gets through. It's going to be a flash cannon onto the Kangaskhan that is burned, and I think the burn will go ahead and finish it up. The Mega falls for Shoma, and Hideyuki seem to be turning this match around.
Yeah, very big to finally get an attack through. You know, with that paralysis and the confusion on these Pokemon, they're more likely not to be able to attack than to attack. But Volcarona cleverly turning this around by doing damage by being attacked. And it has that Rocky Helmet and the Flame Body ability. One of the great reasons to use Volcarona, you know, it's one of the lesser seen Fire-type Pokemon, but every time that Kangaskhan hits it, it's got a pretty good chance of getting burned. And since it hits twice with every attack, it cannot use a Parental Bond against it.
And it does look like we get the Landorus here now from Shoma, of course, being the final Pokemon there, which does leave that Landorus for Hideyuki to come back in and go ahead and maybe get an Intimidate onto the Landorus of Shoma that is essentially stuck in for the rest of the match here. Although Landorus being quite a threatening Pokemon here in this situation.
Yeah, the full health Landorus on that side of the field, even if he does get intimidated once, is in pretty good position here. The enemy Landorus is much weaker on Hideyuki's side, so even though there's a Pokemon advantage, I think actually Shoma's still in a little bit better position.
And both trainers playing very defensively here with only 5 minutes left on the clock. It's really just flying by at this point. I can't believe that we're that deep into this matchup here. And a switch from Hideyuki definitely going to reduce the attack of Shoma's Landorus there, as well as the Thundurus on that side. And Aegislash trying to go for something here. It looks like it's paralyzed. Shoma throwing his arms up, very excited to see this happen here as he goes for the Earthquake in the blade form of Aegislash. Will it be enough? 35 hit points. Oh my gosh, that Intimidate paying off big time and activating the weakness policy.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and Thunderbolt's going to come in and knock out the Aegislash.
Finishing it off, so it looks like just a little too late on that weakness policy.
Yeah, the paralysis is a big deal, too. It's what I was kind of excited about there. It has Shadow Sneak, not something we see too frequently, mostly on Battle Spot, I guess, which makes sense, I guess, as one of the best Battle Spot players using that Aegislash. You know, Shadow Sneak would have knocked out that Thundurus, allowed for a 3-to-1 advantage, but the paralysis works. Thundurus survives yet another turn, and it looks like Shoma's going to be able to take this first game here. Big lead.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting with the final plays here. I don't think that Volcarona's got much time left on it with that paralysis there, of course. Won't be outspeeding any Pokemon anytime soon here. Thundurus not really going to do much, but I think we'll see these Landers face off, and it looks like Shoma probably in a better position.
Yeah, unless it happens that there's a slower, or that Shodas is, let's just go.
Yeah, let's just take a look at it. It looks like it's going to be a knockoff here, actually, from Shoma, doing quite a bit of damage there and knocking off an item there, and we get the Thunderbolt. Going to go ahead and finish off the Volcarona, and a very, very weak Landorus there on Hideyuki's side. It's going to be a Rock Slide. Should pick up the feint, of course. Oh my gosh, the Rock Slide dodge. Are you absolutely kidding me?
Yeah, Thundurus came to play here for the World Finals.
Yeah.
Seems like it should have fainted about 7 times now, but just surviving this battle. I was going to say is that all that really could happen here is if Shoma's Landorus was slower, it could lose to a series of Rock Slides. It doesn't look like that's going to happen here. It ends up being quicker, wisely knockoffs for the 100% accuracy, and should be able to close the game out.
That is it. Shoma throwing a fist up in celebration to the fans out there. Let's hear it, guys, as Shoma takes game number 1 of the Grand Finals match. of match number 1 of match final.
Looks pretty intense over there, right? That's a very close game. I think both players realize 1 or 2 turns in the other direction, and they could easily have lost that game. So should we have a great game 2 here? I think either side could easily take any of the games they played here. They could probably play 9 and end 5-4. So
yes,
should give. Anything could happen here, I guess. I think both sides probably going to want to make a few adjustments. Volcarona, in particular, was kind of an interesting Pokemon to me in that match. When you have a match that's such a mirror, you're kind of tempted to use the Pokemon that are different. I don't know if it ended up being worth it or not. Certainly created some big problems for the Kangaskhan, but having to switch it into that Thunder Wave was really problematic. Maybe it'd be a good adjustment to get it out a little bit sooner so that I could actually get an attack off before being paralyzed.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be the key here, is making sure you realize the value of your Pokemon. Both of these trainers maybe even knowing each other's teams, of course, both from Japan, maybe in the circuit. Also maybe matched up against each other just throughout the tournament. I mean, a lot of people played each other in this, and especially if you went to the grand finals, you might have run into the other trainer.
Yeah, I think at this point they're probably pretty familiar with what each player is using, regardless of whether or not they played against one another. One Pokemon I'd kind of like to see is the Thundurus we didn't see last game. I think that having it available to not be hit by that Thunder Wave, to try to taunt and avoid the Swagger, the combination of Thunder and Swagger from Shoma was really pretty devastating that game. It just prevented Volcarona from attacking much. It prevented Aegislash from attacking much. Thunder Wave, one of the most popular and strongest moves in the format, basically the reason that Thundurus is used. And in spite of Thundurus' inability to hit the enemy Landorus, is probably the MVP of that match.
Yeah, it did a lot of work setting up these Pokemon. We did see Aegislash struggling to just hit through anything really the entire time. But like you said, Scott, I think one of the riskiest decisions was making that switch into Volcarona there, and the next level plays from Shoma, getting that Thunder Wave off really set him up for the rest of the game. Although, a little Flame Body kind of was there, but just got to figure out the right way to use it. The Rocky Helmet also nice, but we get the leads from both of our trainers here. Hideyuki going with the Aegislash Kangaskhan lead here, and Shoma, Kangaskhan, and Heatran.
Yeah, that's not so good there for Hideyuki. Again, we get the two Steel-type Pokemon facing off in the first turn, but you definitely want to be on the Heatran side of that. The one advantage is that if it does turn out that Heatran hits Aegislash with a Heat Wave, likely to survive it and then fire back with a Shadow Ball. So Heatran actually has to be careful here. Since Aegislash is so powerful defensively in its shield form, it can't just try to knock it out without weakening it first, unless it wants to risk being knocked out in return, or perhaps worse, allowing for a boosted Flash Cannon to take down the partner Kangaskhan here, which is going to be a very important Pokemon in this matchup.
Yeah, there's. I do believe that Aegislash will be able to handle a Heat Wave just fine here. It's going to be up to both of these competitors to decide what they want to do with their Mega Pokemon. Keep it on the field, go for Fake Out, switch out. What's the right call?
Now, one advantage, too, is Heatran has the option to substitute, so it doesn't have to go on the offensive, where Aegislash is all offense all the time.
Yeah, and then we do see the Mega Pokemon come out here for, I believe, Hideyuki on the bottom screen there. And let's see if Shoma goes for it as well. Protect. Shoma seems really excited. I don't know what's going to happen here. We get that Protect from Kangaskhan. Oh, no, the King Shield. So a double Protect from Hideyuki, and this could be big. The 2 stages of reduced attack there for Kangaskhan. Ouch. As Heatran finishes off the turn and, of course, does nothing to either of the two protected
Heatran
Pokemon.
trying to attack there, and Kangaskhan also attacking. You see, didn't Mega Evolve. Tried to go for one of the cheekier plays there by not Mega Evolving and taking advantage of that Scrappy ability.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it allowed it to hit Aegislash, which just let it activate King Shield instead of actually do damage there.
Yeah, that was a brutal turn for Shoma. Didn't even get that substitute up, so definitely could have gone the other way there. But it looks like Hideyuki making a great turn 1 play.
Yeah, very good play. I do love the guts on Shoma's side, though, being willing to try to attack with Scrappy against Aegislash, but unfortunately it doesn't play out for him very well that time.
So it's so excited to so sad after realizing that the Aegislash went into King Shield form. Now Shoma, of course, going Mega this turn, not waiting any longer here. Heatran's going to go ahead and protect itself from any potential fighting type moves into that slot here. And oh my, Power Up Punch into the Kangaskhan of Shoma is going to go ahead and boost the attack of this Kangaskhan by 2 stages because of that Parental Bond ability there. And this is looking pretty scary, as actually the Aegislash, I think, oh my gosh, there it is. The low kick from Kangaskhan taking up about 50% of the health there. And we're going to see Aegislash go ahead and get a turn. Where will it attack is the question. I think it's going to be a Shadow Ball and maybe into the Protect.
Yeah, Aegislash not getting anything done there. Unfortunately for it, getting out of its shield form to no avail. But Kangaskhan now on Hideyuki's side, getting those boosted levels of attack, where the enemy Kangaskhan has reduced levels of attack. So a pretty big advantage on the board now. The Power-Up Punch, unfortunately, even though it gives all those stages of attack, doesn't do a whole lot of damage, so Heatran probably still safe for another turn, but definitely going to need to be very careful if you're Shoma here. You don't want to just cough up a Pokemon for free. Now, even switching Kangaskhan is really dangerous because return into that slot can pretty much just chunk anything on Shoma's team now.
Yeah, it's going to make for a very, very scary Kangaskhan there, with Sucker Punch potential now really boosted there, giving it that priority. Oh my gosh, the Shadow Sneak now coming out. We didn't get to see it last game, doing a little bit of damage to Heatran, and maybe, wow, Shoma going first here. Is it enough? No! The Kangaskhan holds on with 1 hit point. Absolutely incredible, and the Power-Up Punch now into the Heatran slot after the Shadow Sneak, the stage of attack getting boosted here, and the little Kang gonna go ahead and finish off the Heatran trend of Shoma. Oh my gosh, that was the most insane play I have seen.
Yeah, that's absolutely clutch. Kangaskhan just barely surviving. You know, if it had been knocked out there, the series is probably over, and Shoma is probably your new world championship. The Kangaskhan survives, gets the knockout, and the way that knockout was set up is beautiful. You know, Aegislash getting that little bit of chip damage. You know, at that point, you know exactly how much damage you need. That wasn't a coincidence that Heatran was just barely knocked out. I'm sure this Kangaskhan was probably trained to pick up that knockout. Very, very close to not getting it, but you know, there's no point in wasting it. You don't get any bonuses for doing, twice a Pokemon's HP and damage.
No, not at all. I was on the edge of my seat for that one as I saw the life bar slowly draining from the Kangaskhan, ready to go back into the Pokeball as Shoma takes as much time as possible to select this next Pokemon here as we see the Thundurus come in there for Shoma. On the top screen, 3 Pokemon to 4 right now.
Yeah, the advantage there is pretty big, but with Kangaskhan only at a single hit point and slower than the Kangaskhan on the previous turn, unless that was a speed tie, it's going to be very difficult for Kangaskhan actually to attack. Even just firing sucker punches in the slot can prevent it from moving, but it does have Protect, unlike many Kangaskhan we see, so it can at least stall some turns here, maybe get some attention, waste some attacks, try to create an opening where Shoma gets a little bit too aggressive, assuming Kangaskhan's not going to do anything, and maybe coughs up another knockout.
Exactly, Scott. Well analyzed there. As we see, both of these Pokemon did protect that turn 1, so we could see maybe a repeat there. And actually, it's going to be a switch of the Aegislash maybe into that Landorus now of Hideyuki, and there it is, of course, going to reduce that Kangaskhan that's already in a bad position by another stage of attack, and onto that Thundurus as well. Kangaskhan now protecting, so Thundurus maybe not having a move here to do really to that Pokemon, and it's going to be a nice Swagger, going to land the confusion but boost its physical attack. That could be scary as we wait for the Kangaskhan to hit with return here, taking it down to about 50%.
Damage is might not be as irrelevant as it looks. Again, Landorus getting weakened. We saw what happened last game when the Landorus and Shoma side was so much healthier than its opponent. However, Landorus getting in relatively free here, weakening the Kangaskhan even more. It makes this Thundurus really important. Unfortunately for Kangaskhan, doesn't get a chance to attack there, but if it was able to knock out the Pokemon that Thundurus slot, and Kangaskhan was to be stuck on the field so weakened, it would almost certainly lose Shoma the game.
And now we see Shoma actually switching into his own Landorus here, getting those Intimidates off, reducing the attack of Hideyuki's Pokemon by 1 stage, and Hideyuki now switching out, preserving that Kangaskhan. Now we'll have Fake Out later in the game, I believe, if it's carrying that, and we see the switch in to the Aegislash. The Confusion, this is the biggest turn, I think, right here. Will it hit itself in Confusion, or will it hit through? No, the Rock Slide gets off, and it's going to do a ton of damage to these Pokemon with that boost. Oh, it missed. I didn't realize there was a huge miss on the Rock Slide. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, I mean, not the biggest ton of damage, but still it's important. Kangaskhan would be knocked up by another Rock Slide now. And Aegislash continues to be dangerous. He gets in for free there, expecting a Sucker Punch would probably come into that Kangaskhan slot, not wanting just to give it up for free. If you're going to have to switch it to Aegislash anyway, might as well preserve the Kangaskhan. You never know when it's going to help. Sort of a frustrating position now to be in for Shoma. You want to take out this Aegislash, it's a big threat, and you want to get rid of Landorus as well. If it shakes up that Confusion, you just kind of gave it a level of attack for free. But Aegislash is going to be difficult to target down here unless both a Sucker Punch and an Earthquake were to go into that slot, because you don't want to just weaken it a little bit, activate weakness policy, and lose a Pokemon for it. Tough spot, because Landorus is also not a Pokemon to ignore.
And we see now Shoma switching out the Kangaskhan here. It being so weakened at this point, there's really not much else it could do. And the Thundurus now coming in here. A Rock Slide from Shoma's Landorus goes first, connecting here, doing a little bit of damage here. He's got his hands up, looking for that Confusion. He does not get it, and a big Rock Slide gets fired off, doing a ton of damage to the Thundurus of Shoma, as well as damage to that Landorus there. So both Genies taking huge amounts of damage, and we see Aegislash going into Blade form. Will it attack? Yes, a Shadow Ball as well. Oh my gosh, it does look like Hideyuki wrapping it up, but no, Shoma gonna get another turn out of this Pokemon here unless we see that Shadow Sneak.
It seems like every Pokemon in this battle just hanging out with a little bit of health. I mean, and that's some of how these players have trained their Pokemon. You've had a little bit of defensive training over the course of a tournament. There's a lot of hits you're going to survive you couldn't otherwise. We're seeing why these Pokemon get so deep. Keep in mind, however, this Aegislash does have Shadow Sneak. Neither of these Pokemon are safe, even though Aegislash is the slowest Pokemon in the field. And boy, is this Thundurus wondering, what have I done? I gave this Swagger to Landorus, just turned it around and threw rocks at me. Eventually, that's the danger of that move, right? You try to stop your opponent from attacking, but if they do get to attack, they attack a lot harder.
Yeah, it's a lot on the line for both of these players who I'm sure are very, very focused right now. We do see the swagger here. I think the best, most safest play here for Shoma, going to hope that Aegislash cannot get a potential Shadow Sneak off here. A lot on the line for these two trainers, almost $20,000 in prizing here as it hits through with a big Shadow Sneak, and I think that will pick up the feint here on the Thunderous. It is definitely at this point looking like Hideyuki's taking it to a game 3. Shoma, though, outspeeding, still maybe won't take any damage from this Landorus here, who's still in with 11 hit points, and it does not get an attack off.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways things can go wrong for the Landorus here. You have to worry about flinching, you have to worry about missing. No attack, but with only 2 Pokemon remaining at such low health, a really great position now, and Shoma looks like he's in trouble. I wouldn't be too surprised to see Aegislash switch out here. There's that weakened Kangaskhan in the back that's not going to be able to do much against these quicker Pokemon, so shake that confusion off of Aegislash probably, get in a position where you can Shadow Sneak that Landorus, pick up that knockoff, probably clean up the game here. Just beautifully played game, and excited that we might be seeing a 3rd game here, but it's not quite over yet.
That is going to be absolutely incredible here as Hideyuki decides to switch out the Landorus, and will allow it for a switch in a little bit later to get an Intimidate off here. Kangaskhan does come in, as well as a King Shield for Hideyuki. Shoma still fighting here, and there goes the King Shield for Aegislash. Oh no, Landorus attacking directly into that slot is going to feel the effects of that reduced attack. Not only from that, but most likely from the switch in of the Landorus here on Hideyuki's side, but does pick up the feint of the Kangaskhan who switched in there. So I'm guessing we'll see a Landorus play on this one.
Yeah, choosing instead of risking, or not worried about the risk, I guess, of Aegislash hitting itself trying to go to King Shield, instead preserving Landorus to have that Intimidate later, but Volcarona actually coming in instead. We get to see once again it get its revenge, and I think it's a very safe position here. Kangaskhan actually can't knock Volcarona out without knocking itself out, and Shadow Sneak threatening Landorus.
And does look like we get a Sucker Punch from Kangaskhan, doing quite a bit of damage on that critical hit here. However, activating the weakness policy, will we see a double critical hit, and is that even enough to get rid of Aegislash? No, hanging in there with 18 hit points. Now we see Aegislash going to go ahead and switch into Blade form here, most likely choosing Shadow Sneak based on its move priority there, and we do see it take out the Landorus of Shoma. Honami there on the top screen as it goes back to its trainer, and of course Volcarona out there to do some work with a little flamethrower into the Kangaskhan, and we have a game 3 at your 2015 Pokemon World Championships.
How much work did Aegislash do in that game? I mean, that Shadow Sneak Aegislash, this is not something you see in the high-level play of the video game championships typically, but we really needed that Shadow Sneak right there. I've seen some previous series where Shadow Sneak was very important. A little bit strange to me to see how effective it's been. Maybe it's something that players shouldn't have been selling off so easily.
Yeah, we see how useful it can be when it manages to get through those paralysis turns there.
And important here to remember, these players, 1 game away now from becoming the World Championships. They're playing for, I believe, $5,000 more in scholarship money. They've both made quite a bit already. So this is a very important match for these guys. You kind of see them both looking very focused and stressed out here. And, this is a moment that could change their lives. So they've got to focus on this one.
Yeah,
big
definitely.
Moment.
It's all you've been essentially working for. The hours that all of us as competitors put into this game is absolutely astounding, the dedication to something we love here. And you are exactly right, Scott. There is a lot of scholarship money on the line here for both of these players, as well as the other ones that finished at the high level here, all getting a little piece of that prize pool. Yeah,
$10,000 for first place, $7,500 for second. So it's $2,500 they're playing for, a pretty big chunk of change. You come into this tournament, you're expecting, hopefully I'll put up a good performance, hopefully I don't embarrass myself. Instead, playing to become the world champion, playing for a nice bit of scholarship money here, and we've had a really great series so far. Both sides now kind of have to think about, okay, what do I do here? What won me the first game that I won? What lost me the game that I lost? I think the big deal is definitely Thunderous in both games. Unfortunately, some of it being the Thunder Wave and Swagger going there. Oh my gosh. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and both competitors taking till the final second. Guys, let's hear it from our fans live in Boston, Massachusetts at the World Championships for your 2 competitors. Your next world champion is on stage right now, guys. Keep it going for him. All right, here we go into the match now. Both trainers throwing out their Pokemon. We get the we get the Heatran and Kangaskhan lead there on the top screen, and the Kangaskhan Aegislash, what is going on? Same leads as last time, taken to the very final second to choose the same Pokemon, but maybe it's the last two.
Yeah, both sides completely unfazed by the previous game, just doing the same thing. I think that kind of makes sense in the sense that, I don't know, maybe if the Thunder Wave rolls, the Swagger rolls had gone differently, both the first two games results could have been flipped. So maybe both sides just think their strategy is right, and they're going to put this one in the hands of the game a little bit. Yeah,
definitely, Sky, I agree with you. It's going to be really interesting to just see those choices. We saw it a little bit earlier in the top four, the same leads, but choosing completely different moves as Kangaskhan there for, I want to say, Hideyuki goes Mega, and or actually that was Shoma's Kangaskhan there going Mega, and now we will get the Mega Kangaskhan from Hideyuki, deciding to keep both of these Pokemon in here, so no switching so far on any Pokemon. This is interesting. A Protect now from Hideyuki, not wanting to maybe get faked out or take any damage. Will it be another double Protect? No King Shield here, it looks like. It's the substitute this time from Shoma, so I'm really liking that that choice, and I don't think it will be an attack into that Aegislash, considering there was a Mega for Shoma, and Aegislash going on the offensive with a Shadow Ball, most likely breaking the substitute here, so a good play by Shoma, not really taking that much damage, and Kangaskhan really not taking any as well, and now Aegislash out in the open for some damage.
Yeah, I like that play by the Aegislash side of the field, though. We've seen what can happen so far in this tournament when you give Heatran a substitute for free, and with no fake out on one side of the field, Protect on the other, you kind of know that Kangaskhan can't really do anything to stop that substitute from going up. So even though it's kind of a risky play, Aegislash gets that Shadow Ball off. You know, if it had been a Heat Wave instead, it would just get a knockout. So yeah, I'm really seeing the power of weakness policy, I guess, to kind of enable some plays that normally you can't make. And even though Aegislash is going to have to probably get back into its King Shield now, unless it wants to be very risky, it does prevent Heatran from getting set up and gets Kangaskhan now free to attack, not having to worry about that fake out.
And we saw that it definitely takes at least one power-up punch in order for that Kangaskhan to take out that Heatran, so I don't think Heatran has much to worry about on this turn from Aegislash, so definitely can risk it, I think, on this one, as we see Aegislash going King Shield here, and both players staring intently at their 3DS screens here as we get a huge hit from the Kangaskhan, hanging on with 9 hit points. Hideyuki will definitely be hitting back here. Shoma maybe hoping to pick up the knockout there. It's a big return, so both players just really trading Kangaskhan's almost at this point here as Kangaskhan hangs on in the yellow. What will Heatran do, though? It's a Heat Wave. It connects, and I think we will see the Kangaskhan faint for Hideyuki.
Yeah, Kangaskhan can't hang on this time. Very cleanly knocked out. You kind of see the power of a low kick rather than power-up punch.
Yes.
Though, I guess a return as powerful as the one that Shoma did there would probably still have put it in range of Heat Wave. Now, previously, we'd kind of seen Landorus coming in a little bit earlier, helping Kangaskhan reduce damage from the attacks on the other side so it can survive. This time, Landorus coming in a turn too late there. Kangaskhan's already been knocked out, but at least this Aegislash does get back into shield form. Again, kind of creating that threat of, well, do you really want to Heat Wave and risk me firing a boosted attack back at you?
Exactly, and choosing his Pokemon very quick there. Just knew Landorus is coming out, and we still have not seen that fourth and final Pokemon from Hideyuki, so it could be a game changer just waiting back there in a Pokeball.
Makes you wonder also, it's a Pokemon that can't handle these two Pokemon well. And when you move that quickly, sometimes if you're on the other side, you kind of think, well, I guess there wasn't too much of a decision for my opponent to make there, so that could be important information for Shoma to hone in on.
Yeah, you might know that exactly who it is. Shoma now deciding to switch out here, realizing that Landorus might be able to get rid of it here, and switching into his own Landorus, going to go ahead and get an Intimidate off onto Hideyuki's Landorus. And interesting enough, that reduced stage of attack on Aegislash will lower its Shadow Sneak.
And not as relevant as usually is.
And we do see the Protect there from the Heatran, not taking any damage on this Rock Slide, and a little bit of damage onto the Landorus there now, who has Hideyuki decided to target with this Aegislash here. It's going to be a Shadow Ball, doing a nice chunk of damage there, taking the Landorus down to about 50% health.
Kind of fun that that's a Shadow Ball and not a Flash Cannon. You're just, I'm not scared of you, Kangaskhan. I know you're switching out.
Yeah. That's very, very true there. A huge risk, considering you would not be able to hit into a normal type with a Ghost type attack.
Still pretty good positioning for both sides. Heatran didn't really get anything out of protecting there, perhaps expecting to be double targeted instead. So a decent advantage now on the health of the Pokemon on the field. But the Pokemon advantage going the other direction. Very close match here. Either side can still easily take this one.
And I do believe last time we saw Shoma's Landorus go first, I think, with that knockoff. So Shoma may be being able to use that to his advantage.
Yeah, having the quicker Landorus is a huge deal here, especially for Rock Slide.
And it does look like it's actually a Protect on Hideyuki's Landorus here. Aegis Slash maybe going King Shield as well, so essentially a double Protect here. There will be no damage taken for Hideyuki on this turn unless someone's got access to a move that I don't know about. So let's see what we get from Shoma here, who's looking to hit both these Pokemon, but it does not attack directly, I think, into that Aegis Slash there, so no reduced attack.
And that's important, too. It's going to be key to try to probably get a knockoff on that Aegis Slash when the opportunity arises. If he thinks he can get a Heat Wave off as well, the combination of those two attacks should be able enough to knock out Aegis Slash before it's able to take advantage of that weakness policy. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that a Shadow Sneak and an Earthquake could probably do the same thing to Heatran if there's a way for the other side to pull it off. Unfortunately, you don't want an Earthquake with your own Aegis Slash in the field, so finding the opportunity to do that's going to be dangerous. I was expecting a double target in the other slot, since you can activate your own Aegis Slash's weakness policy just as easily.
Yeah, we've seen how much damage it can do even with a Shuka Berry on it, although I do think that we saw that Intimidate a little bit earlier, right?
Yeah, I think you need a little bit of extra damage probably because of the Berry and the Intimidate.
Yes, and here comes the Protect there of Heatran. And we're going to get moves from our knockoff now from Shoma into Hideyuki's Landorus there. Just trying to get rid of that item as we get some moves back, and it looks like great Protect there. Maybe a superpower, I'm not sure on the entire moveset here of this Landorus. And oh my gosh, great Protect there from Shoma.
Yeah, Heatran stopping all those attacks. And that's kind of the strength of Heatran, right? It's such a dominating Pokemon. You don't want to just give it free substitutes to start firing off Heat Waves recklessly. It's a very difficult Pokemon for a lot of Pokemon to damage because of its great defensive typing. So the temptation is, when you think you have an opportunity to get it, just to fire a bunch of attacks that way. Heatran's blocked a bunch of attacks this round, and that's kind of what you have to do to keep an advantage like this one. Heatran's been on the field the entire battle right now, barely taking any damage. I believe it did most of the damage to itself, so it's doing pretty good.
It's really sinking in for me right now, Scott. This is the last match of the grand finals. A ton is on the line. It's 1-1, and it's going to be absolutely incredible as Shoma looks to take his 4 Pokemon against the 3 Pokemon of Hideyuki. We see the shield form now for Hideyuki on that Aegis Slash there in the bottom right. Not going to take any damage there, and not going to take any damage, of course, from a King Shield going into shield form. But the Rock Slide should do something here to the Landorus there of Hideyuki, and it's going to hit back now with that superpower. Is it going to be enough after its item is knocked off? No! Heatran is still in there. We see the stat drops there for Hideyuki's Landorus, and what did Heatran decide to do? Oh no, I think Shoma attacking directly into that Aegis Slash, maybe with a flamethrower.
Yeah, that it's also now too weak to use a substitute, so a bunch of things not going exactly right for Heatran there, but not being knocked out. We kind of, again, see the power of some of these Pokemon trained a little bit more defensively. Probably neither Earthquake or Superpower really being an option to pick up a knockout there because of the Shuka Berry, Heatran being just healthy enough. And Landorus is actually in a lot of trouble now. Even if it does pick up a knockout on this Heatran, it's reduced its defense by using Superpower, which is going to get it to a point where the enemy Landorus, if it can't knock it out, it's going to be incredibly close. And, that, again, once you get down to 2 Pokemon, just so limiting, once you can't switch anymore, you don't want to be the first player to fall down to that position unless you've got a big advantage from it. Still a close game, but this turn's going to be very important.
We see the Protect now again on that Heatran slot, and Shoma should be going first here with a Rock Slide. Will it do enough through the reduced defense there? Yes, it does! Shoma picking up the Fate on Hideyuki's Landorus, and as you said, Scott, Hideyuki not left with a lot of options. He only has 2 Pokemon. But what will we see from Aegis Slash here as it goes into Blade form? It's going to be a Flash Cannon doing quite a bit of damage, but not enough to get rid of that very, very bulky Assault-vested Landorus. And Landorus hanging on in the red, and we will see the final Pokemon for Hideyuki. It is, of course, the Volcarona that has been in every single match.
Yeah, not too surprising here to see Volcarona come in, and it could make a big difference here. Heatran's low enough. Normally a Pokemon that pretty much stops Volcarona from doing anything, but shouldn't take too much to finish it off. However, still going to be very important to try to knock out that Heatran. You don't want to get stuck in a position where Heatran at relatively full health has to face off for Volcarona. However, Aegis Slash, with the Shadow Sneak normally threatening knockouts here, unfortunately, I believe it's been intimidated, so it's going to have a hard time doing that. And the clock is also ticking down. With a 4-2 advantage, even if Volcarona could somehow close this game on its own, it only has a handful of turns left to do it. If Shoma's not going to win this World Championship, it's going to have to be someone changing something fast. The clock is ticking down. Only a few turns left.
Yeah, that is absolutely huge. You're right, Scott. These matches have actually been taking a while, and it does actually look like Hideyuki going to go ahead and protect again, preserving that Aegis Slash with a King Shield. And Volcarona probably not going to like taking a Rock Slide if that's what Shoma has decided to do here. And there it is. It connects, and we're going to see that health drop big time. 25 hit points left on the Volcarona there. who looks to be bulking up.
Yeah, see that Quiver Dance. If it can survive this turn, that could be a big deal.
Let's see Shoma raising his hands. Oh no, does not connect on what I believe was maybe a heat wave then.
Yeah, the Heat Wave probably would have clinched the championship for Shoma, but Volcarona now showing that yet another Pokemon can survive with very little health. Now is that boosted speed, special attack, and special defense from using Quiver Dance. Most likely the quickest Pokemon in the field. Now it's a very dangerous situation for Shoma. Even though he's got a big advantage here, Volcarona's a Pokemon that can help turn this around. He doesn't want to waste too many attacks into potential protects and let Aegislash pick up knockouts, but you can't just ignore this Volcarona. Even the full health Pokemon remaining on Shoma's side could be in a lot of danger here.
Again, not much time left on the clock. Really only, depending on how long these players take, maybe 6 to 7 turns left on this one. Hideyuki staying incredibly calm for being at such a disadvantage right here. And we do see the Giga Drain, I think, there on that Volcarona, getting a little bit of hit points back and fainting that Landorus. And let's see what we get. There it is, a Heat Wave. Should do a ton here. Oh my gosh, picking up the feint on Hideyuki's Pokemon, as well as catching the burn, activating the weakness policy there, but the burn is absolutely huge, and it's only a matter of protects before this one is over.
That it is. Aegislash limited in turns. It's going to try to find a way to knock out 3 Pokemon in 3 turns to have a chance here without being knocked out itself.
No, it is going to be absolutely incredible if something like that does happen. It's going to be very, very difficult. We see the Shadow Ball finishing off that Pokemon, and Shoma will be bringing in the next 2 Pokemon here, and I think it will be Kangaskhan again on this one, as he led with it a little bit earlier there in the burn, doing work. Only 32 hit points left, maybe only 2 turns for Aegislash.
Yeah, time's definitely limited now. We see the full health Thundurus coming in. We do know it has Protect. Kangaskhan does not, but pretty tough to imagine way out of this one. Kangaskhan likely to go for a Sucker Punch here. Thundurus can do pretty much anything it wants. Looks like Shoma most likely to pull this off, and we see him run.
There it is, guys. Both players shaking hands, and Shoma Honami is your 2015 Pokemon Video Game World Champion.